closely tied to what we were doing the past 2 days. It's kind of just saying it backwards. So, if the lines are parallel, what are some things that I know? If these two lines are parallel, then what do I know?
Angles will equal each other.
Which angles?
One.
Starts with the C. Starts with the C. No. Corresponding angles are congruent. If the lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent, right? If the lines are parallel, what else?
My brain is kind of fried right now.
Yes.
So, alternate interior.
Alternate interior angles are
I don't know how to do it.
what? Alternate
Equal 180.
interior angles are congruent. Okay. What else? Same side interior are same side interior are supplementary. Add up to 180. Yes. Okay. This first one, corresponding angles are congruent if lines are parallel. That is a postulate. These two are theorems because you can prove it using corresponding angles. Also, I guess technically we also talked about alternate exterior angles. Do you guys remember what those were? Like 1 and 5. Are those congruent or supplementary? Congruent. So also alternate exterior angles are congruent. So the only ones that are not congruent is the same side interior. These are this pair is supplementary. The only ones that we named that are not congruent. So that's what we talked about the last assignment. This assignment is kind of the same thing but saying it backwards. So not only if the lines are parallel are corresponding angles congruent, but if I did not know whether these two lines were parallel, but I did know that, let's say both of these angles were like 80 degrees, and since they're corresponding angles, if the corresponding angles are congruent, these lines have to be parallel. Okay, so I'm saying the same thing backwards. Do you guys get it? I'm saying the converse of what we said yesterday. So if corresponding angles are congruent, lines are parallel. If alternate interior angles are congruent, lines are parallel. If same side interior angles are supplementary, the lines are parallel. Or alternate exterior angles are congruent, lines are parallel. So we're talking about, do we know whether the lines are parallel or not? That's the question. So if I have something like this, I can say, yes, they are parallel because corresponding angles are congruent. So the difference between that and yesterday is yesterday they told us they were parallel and then they said, so find these angles. So, yeah, pretty similar. Something else that's new. Oh, and reminder, they don't call it same side interior. That's what I call it. They call it consecutive interior. It's going to confuse us probably.
What do you count on? Put that on a test.
Oh no, both of those are okay. I just like that one better. But the book on a problem would say consecutive, and that'll confuse us probably. So I don't know if I mentioned this one, but if these lines were parallel and this was 90, what would this have to be?
90.
Yeah. If one line, if you have two parallel lines and one of them is perpendicular to the transversal, the other one is perpendicular to the transversal. Remember, perpendicular means that they cross at a 90-degree angle. That's the symbol for perpendicular. Line A is perpendicular to line B. But you can also say it backwards. If two lines are perpendicular to the same line, then they are parallel to each other. You guys might not know that. If two lines are perpendicular to the same line, then they are parallel to each other. So that's another thing to put in our pocket. All right. Transitive property of parallel lines. I think we talked about this once, kind of, maybe not. If A is parallel to B and B is parallel to C, guess what? If A is parallel to B and B is parallel to C, then A is parallel to C. Yeah. Transitive property works on parallel lines too. If these two are parallel and these two are parallel, these two are going to be parallel. That's a theorem, but it's kind of obvious if you think about it too. You don't have to know the names of any of these theorems. A lot of them aren't named at all. If you want to use the rule, you just say it. Anyway. Like, corresponding angles are congruent, so the lines are parallel. That's a theorem, or that's actually a postulate. That's a postulate, but you don't have to know a name for the postulate. You just say it. Okay, number 1. Which segments can be proven to be parallel? Can be proved parallel. Name the postulate or theorem that justifies your answer. So there's 2 answers on these. This might be a little bit hard because these pictures are not what we're used to. On number 1, they drew something like this. Okay, in our pictures, they looked more like that, right? Basically, it said this is 52 and this is 52. And these 2 angles are corresponding angles to these 2 lines. You guys see it? But it doesn't look like that in the picture because they didn't draw this stuff. But they're still the same angles. They're still corresponding angles. You guys get it? There was another line right there. So, these 2 lines have this transversal, and these 2 guys are in the same corner. So these are corresponding angles, so these 2 lines would be parallel. So we're going to say, what are those 2 lines called? Segment AE, or I guess line AE, is parallel to BD. Oh, they did use segment symbol. Doesn't matter. It's okay. And what theorem or postulate did I use?
Parallel lines.
No. What kind of angles are these?
52 degree angles, acute.
Corresponding angles are congruent. They called that the corresponding angle postulate, but I just said postulate. Corresponding angles are congruent and the lines are parallel. That's the whole thing. All right, on number 2, I'm just going to draw the lines that are involved here. I'm not going to draw the whole thing. It just, the lines that make up the angles are these lines. Right? I just drew the zigzag lines that make up the angles that they're talking about. What kind of angles are these? Can you guys see?
Something. No. Vertical.
If I extend this line and this line, can you tell what looking at here?
Oh,
Looks like this.
on the opposite side interior.
Yeah, they're alternate interiors. Gonna extend this line. So that would be like the reason that you gotta say the two lines that are parallel and then the reason. Alternate interior angles are congruent. So it looks different than we're used to. I know that confuses us, but that is the same thing as that. I just turned it sideways and extended the lines so it looked a little more like we're used to. Okay, number 3. Okay, on 3, that top part says x and 180 minus x. If these two angles are x and 180 minus x, what do I know about those two angles?
They're not equal.
Together, what would they add up to?
180.
180. Remember how we found the supplement of an angle is we did 180 minus the other angle to get the supplement? Okay, if I extended the lines on these, oops, kind of missed. What kind of angles are those?
Supplement.
Okay, if I extended the lines and turned it sideways, look like this.
Oh, same side interior.
They're same side interior. You guys see it? Yoink. I just turned it like this so it looks more like what we're used to. These are same side interior angles. So these two lines, the left and the right, would have to be parallel. I didn't draw this line down here at all because it wasn't really involved. These two lines right here would have to be parallel because the same side interior angles are supplementary. So QT and R is parallel to RS. Okay, they're still same, let me try again. They're still same side interior because they're on the same side of this transversal. That's not working. And they are interior to these two lines. They're same side of the transversal. They're inside these two lines, so same side interior. Okay, number 5. Okay, so on number 4 through 7, sit up. 4 through 7, it says our options are that lines AB and CD are parallel, so the top and the bottom lines are parallel. Option B is AD is parallel to BC, the left and the right lines are parallel. Or option C is that all the top, both are parallel, both pairs are parallel. And D is, we know nothing is parallel, or there's nothing that we can tell is parallel. So just by using the fact that they give us, what can we figure out? So on number 5, it says angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. What I'm going to do is just draw those two angles, just those those lines to make those two angles. You guys know what the drawing would look like? That. There's 2, there's 6. What kind of angles are these?
Opposite, or
Alternate interior, yes. Alternate interior, between these two lines. So if they are congruent, these two lines would have to be parallel. So which lines are those in that picture? Yes, the top and the bottom lines. So that would be option A. This is matching. This section's matching. Okay. On number 7, it says 3 is congruent to 7. Okay, I'm going to draw these separately. I'm just going to draw the lines that we need to make 3 and 7. So there's, oops, I did that wrong. No, that's right. There's 3. There's 7. So if those two are congruent, what do I know? Same thing. They're alternate interior angles for the top and bottom line again, right? Just using the other line as a transversal. But it also says 2 and 6. So if I draw 2 and 6, I already did that one. It's this one right here. So actually both of them are telling me that the top and bottom lines are parallel, so they don't really help. They're both saying kind of the same thing. So what option is that?
Both A and B.
No.
Option B.
No.
Jeez, I do not understand this at all.
Okay. Number 7, I drew angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. I drew 3 and 7 using just the lines that make angles 3 and 7. 3 and 7 are alternate interior angles between these two lines. So these two lines have to be parallel. I had already drawn 2 and 6 for number 5.
So it's
It was, yes. They were alternate interior angles between the top and bottom lines. Again, so they're both telling me the top and bottom lines are parallel. So yes, it is A again. They are both alternate interior angles for the top line. Okay, number 9 is kind of the same thing, it's just not matching. So it says, which lines can be proved to be parallel from the given statement? Name the postulate or theorem. It's kind of like 1 through 3, I guess. Name the postulate or theorem to justify your answer. Write none if there is not enough information. Prove the lines are parallel. Okay, number 9 is 7 and 15.
They are.
Okay, if I just drew the lines that would be needed to make angle 7 and 15, what would the picture look like?
just 2 parallel lines.
Well, that's not enough.
And then a line.
Yeah, that's fine, right? Because there's 7 and 15 right here. What kind of angles are 7 and 15? That's going to be part of the answer.
Oh,
Corresponding. Yeah, they're in the same corner. They're like twins. So if they're congruent, these two lines would have to be parallel because corresponding angles are congruent. So what are those two lines? C and D. So I'm going to put C parallel to D. Corresponding angles are congruent. I noticed I started using an abbreviation for angles. Probably the farther we go into the book, I'm going to start abbreviating more. It's not an abbreviation, it's a symbol, so kind of cheap. Okay, I just want to point something out really quick. Our 15 and 3 are these corresponding angles. 15 and 3. The answer is no, because they do not share a transversal. There's no line connecting 15 and 30. Are 3 and 7 corresponding?
Yeah.
Yes. 7 and 15? Yes. 15 and 11? Yes. 11 and 3? Yes. But you can't jump this way. There's no transversal going between the two angles this way. Anyway, that's not really the question, but let's look at number 11. 1 and 12 are the same, so I'm just going to draw the lines for 1 and 12. There's 1, there's 12. My picture is not very accurate, it's not really the point. However, 1 and 12, are they corresponding, alternate interior, what are they?
Alternate exterior?
No, exterior would be like over here. Or, sorry, alternate would be like over here.
Same side exterior.
Okay, they are, yeah, there's no such thing as same side exterior. They're nothing to each other. They're nothing to each other, so if they're the same, we don't really know anything about this. So, this is not one of our things. So, the answer is none. They're not corresponding, they're not alternate exterior, they're not same side interior. Okay, 13, 12, and 15. Why don't you guys try and on your page draw the lines and that make up angles 12 and 15?
On 13?
Yes, on number 13. Look at the picture and draw just the lines that you need to make angles 12 and 15. And write 12 and 15 in your picture. Should look like that, roughly. Okay, what kind of angles are 12 and 15?
Same side.
Same side interior. You might turn your head sideways, but yeah, these are same side interior angles. What should be true for the lines to be parallel in this case? What do we know about same side interior?
Add up the one.
They have to, yeah, be supplementary. Is that what they said? Is that what they said on 13? Yes, it is. So, we know that these two lines would have to be parallel because same side interiors are supplementary. So that would be lines A and B. A parallel to B. Getting warm. I don't know why some days the AC never stops and today it never turned on. Probably doesn't help you have your hoodie on.
It's not too bad. We can turn it on.
It is a mystery. So on 15 it says 5 and angle 5 and angle 15 are basically the same, right? Because they both equal 2x minus 3. So if they're corresponding angles or if they're alternate interior angles, those lines would have to be parallel. So let's see, where are 5 and 15? Actually, they're neither of those things. 5 is up here, 15 is down here. Yeah, it's the one that I didn't talk about as much. You guys know what these two angles are?
Alternate course.
Alternate
Alternate exterior.
exterior angles. And that is a theorem. If they are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So C and D are parallel. So C parallel to D. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. This one's a doozy. Alright, 17. I think on 8 through 16, only one of the evens is a none. Although I'm having trouble finding the answers, where they put the answers at. Actually, I have no idea. Oh, there they are. Yeah. Only one even is a none. Alright, number 17. Do you guys see the picture of the door over there on the right? Okay. I don't think I'm going to draw that. It says, what is the measure? Okay. In the directions, it says the fence is designed so that segment AB is perpendicular to BG. In other words, the top of the door is perpendicular to the right side of the door. So that's a 90-degree angle. Do I know yet that this side of the door is 90 degrees? No. I mean, it should be. It's a door, but it also says, though, that BG is perpendicular to CE, which is like that board in the middle. BG is this guy, CE is this guy. So those two are perpendicular. I guess I am drawing it. Okay, BG, and then what else does it say? Angle GFC is congruent to angle ECA. Let's see. So that's these two angles. They said are congruent. So when I put one arc there, that's telling me those two angles are the same. They also drew a line down the middle, diagonal, called it AD. Alright, so this is what I know so far, 90, 90, congruent. Okay, number 17, what is the measurement of angle ABE? 90, because they told us those lines were perpendicular, so we know for sure they're 90 degrees. How do we know that line AB is parallel to line CE? How do we know line segment AB is parallel to line segment CE? Because they are perpendicular to the same line. That's one of the theorems I talked about. They are perpendicular to the same line. Okay, name 3 angles that are congruent to angle BAD, BAD. So, BAD's up here. Let me change that to blue.
What FGDV1?
What FGD?
FGD?
If we know that the top line and the bottom lines are parallel, then that would be one, yes, but do we know that? Okay, well, we just said that these two lines are parallel, right, on number 19?
Yeah.
So, this line right here is a transversal for that line, right? So, these two, what are these two called? Alternate interior, right? So we know those two have to be the same. Also, let me keep going. If these two are the same, so what angle corresponds to this angle? You guys see it?
The one below D.
Looks like this. These two are corresponding angles, right? Yeah. So it's EDG, this one, and also these are vertical, by the way, so they have to be all the same. So that angle's the same, and how do we know that these two are parallel? That's what I'm confused on, actually. Let's see. This I know, but that doesn't tell us that those are parallel. If these added up to 180, these would be parallel. How do we know? How do we know? Did I read the directions right? A, B, B, G? Yeah.
If B is 9 degrees, then A has to be 9 degrees also to make 180. Which means that F would also be 90 because then A and F have to be 90.
Well, we don't know that these two have to make 180 though. It didn't tell us that it was.
But it's a straight line.
Yeah, you can't just tell by looking at the picture. Well, I'm pretty sure it's this one, but I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out, really. I'm thinking about it. Maybe, huh? Well, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how they knew that these two lines were parallel, or the top and the bottom are parallel. I'll think about it some. But anyway, so the three angles that are congruent to this angle are this, this, and this. What's this angle called? Let's get those out of there.
ADC.
ADC. What's this angle called?
ADE.
ADE. And, wait. No, not ADE. No one pay attention. This angle right here. Somebody besides Xander. What's that angle called?
Which angle?
GDE. And somebody besides Xander and Natalie. What's the bottom angle? FGD.
Why was today so hard?
Expect them all to be easy.
What?
Do you expect them all to be easy? Okay, number 23, real quick.
We just skipped 23.
So how do we know angle 2 is congruent to angle 7?
Yeah.
It's given to us up above. Guess what we're trying to prove? You can probably guess without even looking. We're trying to prove that those two lines are parallel. Okay. I don't know, well, actually we're not quite proving that. We're trying to prove that alternate interior angles makes the lines parallel. Line 2, how do we know that angle 7 is congruent to angle 4 in that picture? How do we know 7 and 4 have to be the same? Vertical angles. Vertical angles are always congruent. That is a theorem, but we can just put vertical angles. Okay, line 3 says the reason is transitive property. So if you look at lines 1 and 2, it's 2 is congruent to 7, 7 is congruent to 4, angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Okay, what's the last line always end with? What you're trying to prove, that the lines are parallel. A is parallel to B. But why though? Why does 2 and 4 being congruent make the lines parallel? What are 2 and 4? What can, right, corresponding angles are congruent. The lines are parallel. I'm just gonna put corresponding angles are congruent. I think 5 till.
Yeah. Or no, it's
5 till is 10:55.
That's already passed.
Yeah. 16, you're in moving and grooving. Okay.
Start.
Well, how are angles 4 and angles 8 related? No. Just look at angles 4 and angles 8. They are what to each other? Yes. Okay, what should be true about corresponding angles?
I don't know why.
Yes, are they congruent on 16? Did they say they're the same thing? Are these two the same thing?
That's
Is that the same as that? No. Not so if they're not the same, corresponding angles are supposed to be the same. If they're not, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Was the bell service?
No.
Is
Craig
that-
went to
Thank
that.
you so far, I'm so pretty. Thank you.
Now, is that your phone?
Yeah.
I remember yours now, but you don't have to ask that one. Zelda fan. No, get out. Hello. What was your name? Kira. I'm Mr. Jordan. Nice to meet you. Well, today is chapel day, so where does somebody not sit?
Dylan's not here.
True.
I'm trying to remember where we have an empty seat. Does somebody sit right
Is
here?
it my seat I can move for Dylan?
I sit there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Do you take my seat? I can take it.
Okay, let's just have you sit right in the center there. That spot's open.
Wait, no, Archie's there.
And here is.
Sissy giggle pants.
Did somebody get more cut into my mouth? Frustrating because I actually studied.
No. Then we'll follow the rain.
Well, I studied.
Well, you're gonna study again, so it'll be in your head even better.
Yeah.
That quiz,
Well, I could have been working all
quiz
day.
brought you up to a 60.
Okay.
Your grade went up. If you would have your homework turned in, your grade would be SD. But,
Mine?
yeah.
How much?
But